All right. Well, hello, and welcome everyone to our BG5 Live. Great to have each and every one of you here today. Today is March 16th, 2021. And today's trait, what we're going to be taking a look at is trait 36 in quality 5. And what we are going to be exploring is perfected survival in the midst of crisis. So we have been in crisis since, was it Saturday, I guess? Friday, Saturday? So we're going to be talking about crisis today. And before we do that, let's make sure to say hello to our panel. Let's start with Natalie. Hey, Natalie, welcome.
Hi, yes, happy to be here. Hope to survive this session.
Well, great to have you here, Natalie. Welcome. And let's go to Anna. Hey, Anna, welcome.
Hi, everybody. Yep, surviving well enough. Glad to be here.
Great to have you here. And Linda.
Hey everyone, love to be here, and I have the 36.5, so I will get you through. I will take you through.
Good. Perfect.
Hey.
All right. Well, and my name is Karen Sherwood. So again, welcome to all of you who are watching live via our Zoom room, watching live on Facebook, or those of you who are watching via the recording. So let's jump in. And again, I want to give you a context first of where we are in March and what is going on. So we are on this journey of logic, crisis, and innocence in the month of March. Also, again, we are in the 36 currently on May 10th. What's hidden also moves into crisis as well. So that stays around for quite a while. We've been in the 22 for quite a while. So just to give you a heads up, as we're talking about crisis, that's going to be in what's hidden probably until 2027. Right around there. So interesting as well. So we started with doubt. So a couple of weeks ago, we talked about doubt as an essential inspiration. Last week, we talked about openness. So we took a look at grace, this sharing spirit with others when in the mood. So today we are going to be taking a look at this crisis, the darkening of the light, and the importance of waiting for emotional clarity. That's what we're going to be talking about today. Then from crisis, I always find this interesting. From crisis, we move into innocence. We move into innocence, this universal love, this spiritual warrior. So in a sense, starting afresh, starting anew. Then we move into opinions in the 17th, following and grounded in detail. And then we take a look at control, biting through the hunter-huntress and the power of the will. So we can see that the 36 actually shows up a couple of times today, at least. It shows up not only in the core essence, it also shows up in our values as well. So it's interesting that we've had 36 in a couple of locations. You can see there's a lot activated here. We still have, the strength of making sure that everyone's needs are being met. And if they're not being met, it can lead to a revolution. We also have this experiential way moving from the 36 to progress, also in the 35 as well. So just kind of interesting to kind of get that context of where we are at. I don't know if any of you would like to add anything before we jump into crisis, and also we've also had a shift in the nodes too with the quality, which I think is interesting as well. I'll go there and then we'll talk. So it was interesting. We were in from March 10th to the 14th. We were in the hunter. In the past direction with this patterns and rhythms with the 5 waiting as a guarantee of survival, as well as hunger, the insatiable appetite for progress. One of the things I found for myself just watching this and feeling this is I felt all of this pressure building up to when crisis started, and you could feel it here. I'll talk a little bit more about it a little later on. On the 14th, so just recently, we moved into quality 3. So we're now in the fixed patterns of compulsiveness, the fear engendered by the sense of helplessness resulting in unnecessary stress and activity. So just something to pay attention to. Again, it's part of the background frequency, so you may see that happening around you. And it really is about the surrender to the limitation of the fixed rhythm through the empowerment of imagination. So the background frequency is that, there's this sort of sense of hopelessness that and stress that you just want to take action just to take action's sake, but really utilizing that energy in a different way. We're going to see how this also plays into what we're going to take a look at today in crisis as well. We're also moving towards the progress of collaboration. The whole is greater than a sum of its parts, the ability to bring progress and change into others' lives. So again, we are in this process moving towards 2027 where there is a lot of progress, but with progress comes crisis because oftentimes people don't like change. We were just talking in OC 16 about innovation. And oftentimes you have to fight for that innovation to take hold, for something new to take hold. And so the background frequency, just kind of watch it, see where you kind of get carried away with it, or where you can really balance yourself with it. And I have like I said, I'll talk a little bit about crisis and where this comes into play as well in just a moment. I didn't know if Natalie or Anna or Linda, if there's anything that you wanted to add or anything that you saw or felt or experienced sort of in that change, or anything you recognized or noticed. There you go.
Yeah, I was go, Linda, but you already did it. Very good.
I saw you saying things as if, what? Crisis. No, well, about this, the crisis will come, but but about this, I also, in the past week, I also talked about it. I felt something was building up.
Yeah.
And I really feel something it has to go, past something in order to have the progress. And well, when I just take a look at the 5 and the 35, it feels like a helplessness. Well, I just cannot stop talking about the Netherlands in our elections. I really feel helpless, because we have to choose, and we are in a fixed pattern because that's the way things go with elections. And for me, it feels really that I'm really limited because it's really difficult to make a good decision. But it will eventually, the election will lead to a change into the lives of all of us in the Netherlands, because we will maybe choose a completely new direction. But it also really feels, and also with everything that's going on with still the virus and all the limitations, we have lots of restrictions left. It really feels confined and restricted, but I also feel like we have to move forward. There is a push forward, and that's what you feel in the environment. You feel something is going on because it's not the way it used to be, but we don't know how it will be yet. So it is, in the background, I feel lots of limitations and lots of things that are going to happen. And that's
exactly.
for me.
Yeah, and so we're both in the Netherlands, and we have elections tomorrow, so that's why we are like, and then we don't have just 2 parties, we have like 30 parties. So whatever, it's also the helplessness feeling of, I can vote, but then I vote for this and the other votes for that. So in the end, it will always be a compromise of several parties coming together, and then they kind of trickle down their policy or what they stand for. They just go, to have to collaborate. So it's like, you can vote, but you are helpless.
Yeah. It's interesting with this background frequency of like wanting to move forward, like wanting to have this progress, wanting change to happen, but being stuck in this, fixed rhythms, fixed patterns, nothing's really changing, right? So it's this push pull of progress versus this fixed patterns, progress versus fixed patterns. So it's really interesting. I've noticed that especially between, when we were in the hunter and the hunger, this appetite for progress, but not really wanting to wait and getting frustrated with waiting and just like, oh, come on, let's be done with all of this already. Let's just move forward already. Right. So it can have an emotional toll. Um, so and then on top of that, right, we entered into crisis. So let's talk about crisis for a moment. So crisis, I found it interesting, taking a look at this image. It's shift your mind. Is it crisis or is it opportunity? And it's emotional, right? It's connected to our emotional system, yet it's in the quarter of the mind, which I think is always very interesting. So how much does our mind actually make up the crisis to be more than it actually is? It's one of the examples I will show you here in just a moment. So part of it is a mindset. So realizing that crisis is there and designed to bring forth change, and in bringing forth change, it brings forth opportunity as well. Right. So on the other side of this crisis is the opportunity, taking a look at also where your mindset is too. Oftentimes we think of crisis as something bad, but often a crisis can wake us up to something that we weren't aware of. And the crisis was necessary in order to wake us up so that we could see things and progress in a different direction, right? To be able to take care of or to take advantage of that opportunity. So when we take a look at crisis, right, the rule of cycles in which decline is natural, but not an enduring state. It's one of the things about crisis is that crisis happens and then we recover from the crisis, but the crisis is not an enduring stage. It's not something that continues. There is an end to it. It is a rule of the cycle that that decline is natural, but it's not an enduring stage. It does come to an end. And action without awareness leads to emotional crisis. I want to say that again because I think this is really important when we're taking a look at crisis. Action without awareness leads to emotional crisis. Again, the importance of following our decision making strategy, because if we take action for action's sake, oftentimes it can lead to an emotional crisis. It can lead to something that we're like, oh my goodness, why did I do that, etc. It's a shift of feeling, and this shift of feeling is the end of a cycle. So, in many respects, we are at the end of this cycle of planning. And it's not like it's just one day it turns off. We're in the 7-year cycle towards 2027. And it's these shifting feelings at the end of the cycle that we're experiencing. It's the darkening of the light. And again, wait for emotional clarity, especially if you are emotionally defined, but even if you're not defined emotionally, because this trait happens to be an emotional intelligence, and we have that full definition, right, of the 3635 as part of what's happening in the weather in the background frequency. It's really important for all of us, whether you have emotional intelligence defined or not, to wait for that emotional clarity, to follow your decision making strategy, to make sure that you're not making decisions on emotional highs or on emotional lows. And this is the potential to handle crisis and remain steady in your interactions. So, this is the ability to adapt and deal with crisis. And letting feelings naturally unfold is how you reach your emotional depth and access your own truth, which is also valuable in helping others who are in crisis. All right, so that is where we currently are. Now, I wanted to share this real quickly, and then I'll come back. I think I told you last week that we were going to have 5 feet of snow. This is actually the actual headline: 5+ feet of snow could land in Colorado in the upcoming days. And if you watch the news, I was over at my mom's. I typically don't watch the news, but I was over at my mom's watching the news, and they're like, "Oh, Friday we're going to have all this snow. Saturday we're going to have all this snow. Sunday we're going to have all this snow, and we're going to have a whole weekend of all of the snow." Friday, nothing happened. Here's Saturday. I was sending these to Natalie and Linda as an update, right? So here's Saturday. You can see how much snow we had on Saturday. And then Sunday, everything came down on Sunday. I think we actually ended up having about 2 feet of snow. But right now, all the streets are all dry now. So it was warm, melted all of the, melted the snow in the streets. We still have piles of snow everywhere, so there's still a lot of snow out there. But the crisis that I felt just here in Colorado was palpable. I mean, my husband on Saturday went to get his glasses fixed. It's right next to the grocery store. He couldn't find a place to park, and this is a huge parking lot. He could not find a place to park because everyone was panicking and going into the store and like buying up all this stuff. It's like for a 1-day snowstorm, like they were going to be locked in for weeks.
And you
So-
had high fire danger on Monday? What's that all about?
I know. Yeah, exactly. That too. So it's like crisis, crisis, crisis. And if you listen to the news, like you were like, oh my goodness, really concerned about everything. And then it was just like, well, we got snow. It was a lot of snow, granted, but it certainly wasn't 5 feet of snow or more. And it certainly wasn't something that, that trapped us or locked us down. But again, in it being the background frequency, I talked to my sister on the phone and she had just gone grocery shopping and she's like, oh my God, people were crazy. Like the shelves were empty. And I'm thinking, we grew up in Colorado. This is natural. We have snow. What are people panicking about? And she's like, I felt just being in the grocery store that I should buy all this stuff because she's like, I got caught up in it. Like, oh my goodness, maybe this is going to be worse than I think it is. And so she started buying all this stuff. So that feeling of crisis was really palpable here. And it was, like I said, it was just kind of, it's just kind of funny when you can be able to observe it from that position and kind of see it, unfold. People are on sort of ultra pens and needles, especially being the anniversary of the pandemic as well. So that's my story of the crisis this week. So yeah. So what about you guys? What have you experienced? What have you sensed? What have you seen in taking a look at a crisis?
I have a couple of things. One is I always think of, crisis can be a good thing, but given the background frequency of sort of being compelled, compulsive, and needing collaboration, it being spring, crisis being a natural stage and not enduring situation. I always think of a birth. If anybody's been witness to or experienced a birth, watching an animal or whatever it is a crisis. There's this pending energy. You get impatient. You want it to happen. You want your baby here, whatever the situation is. And then you go through this very critical stages of passion and fear and emotion and decision making and all these things. It can be smooth and beautiful. It can have drama in it, depending on all the parts of what's going on. But it is a darkening. It's from one stage of gestation through darkness into the next stage, which is light. And it has a lot to do with how you handle the situation, whether you can flow with it, whether you trust it, whether other things are at hand. But it's a very rich experience, very deep, transformational experience whether you're having the baby, somebody else is having the baby, whether your dog's having the babies, whether it's the springtime earth beginning to move and plants are growing, all of that. I think of this as a crisis, as a process, an intense process that we can't help but move through. We have to move through it.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
another part is, just as an example, my daughter's been in this very strange rental situation with the landlady being very odd. And there was this push-pull. Yes, you can stay. No, you got to get out. Blah, 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 blah. Well, finally, this weekend, the landlady said, okay, you don't owe me any rent, and I'm going to pay you to get out. But she didn't have a place yet. She's got this other place, pending. So we scrambled to pack her all up, and it was like this big drama, it's like, God, get the truck in the storage shed and get the cats and the da 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 da. And we were just scrambling yesterday to get everything out of the house so she could have this opportunity. But it was a lot of like, oh my gosh. And of course there were explosions and, pressure, emotional things. But at one point everybody calmed down. It's like, okay, we need to make some decisions. How are we going to proceed? Everything turned out fine in the end. But, it was like an opportunity you got to grab. You got to do it in the moment. You got to think. You got to feel. You got to, make decisions under a shorter amount of time than emotional clarity sometimes will grant you.
Yeah.
But no matter what, you can still use your decision-making strategy under pressure.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Anna. Wow. Yeah, and Lisa's saying, I love your analogies, Anna. Really beautifully said. I would love to hear from you, Linda. You have this actually in your design.
Yes, and I'm very familiar with crisis. Yeah, it's a huge theme in my life. And just this week, it started. Not that I am in crisis all the time, but when I take a look back in my life, I can surely see that because it is a part of the human experiential way. And I really feel that in my life, everything has led to crisis to really change my path. So it's something, it's conscious, but it's in an undefined function of emotional intelligence. And I really have felt in my life all the emotions that comes with being in crisis. And for me, it's also a profit potential trait. It's really, I am emotional cool. And I really can sense the crisis of others. I attract people, and it sounds maybe a little bit terrifying, but people that are in crisis, they find me. And I also have been there myself with my car accident and all kind of things. We also talked about in 2016 how my individuality was not appreciated in a large organization. So living my not self, I was constantly in crisis because I didn't follow my decision-making strategy. I was just going through, and it was feeling like a roller coaster that I wasn't. And that was a really important, what you showed on the other slide. It's about awareness. When you are, action without awareness leads to emotional crisis. When you are in a roller coaster and you are sitting with your eyes closed, and you are not aware of the next turn or a loop, you get nauseous. You think, oh my goodness, what's going to happen next? But I always tell my clients and everyone who is in crisis that it's not an enduring stage. There are things that you can breathe and you think, oh, that's nice, and you can enjoy the ride, but if you are aware, you can also see the turns coming, because that's also what Anna shared so beautifully. Like with a birth, it's not suddenly there. There is a building up. You feel that something is coming. You have 9 months before there is a birth. But also, when I take a look at my life, I was making bad decisions and another bad decision. And eventually, there was a crisis. And if you are not aware, you are getting caught up. And there is a turmoil, and you don't see it anymore. You can see the perspective, just like you are in a wave, like a surf. You're surfing and you are in a wave, but there will be a time that you surface again, that you can see other waves coming. So it's really, to me it feels like, and that I really sense with every client I work with that is in crisis, it is kind of a necessary step towards progress.
Yeah.
And if you take a look back, everyone says, in the moment it was terrible. I was feeling, well, it was the most terrible time of my life, perhaps even, but it was needed, because now I do what I do. And that's also, for me, the car accident helped me to find BG5, my passion. And I wouldn't have traded. I don't want my old life back. And it was worth it. And it's and I feel you really have sometimes feel rock bottom to see the opportunities to have a different perspective on your life, on your emotions, on yourself, to be able to find yourself. So I really, really relate to this trait, because I have experienced it. It's the experiential way. It is about experiencing. And I really can help others. Yeah, the last bullet. Help others who are in crisis, because I've been there. And I also know how to take advantage of it, and also how to go through. And it's not the end of the world. And going back to your authenticity, that for me is the awareness to ride the roller coaster called life.
Yeah. Wow.
And that's what I love doing. Yeah.
Yeah, really, really beautifully said, Linda. Yeah, thank you so much. It looks like Natalie just posted your case study as well in the comments as well. So that if you want to read more and find out and see Linda's journey and crisis and where that led. Again, it's led you to what your passion is. It led you to what you're supposed to do. It led you to, in a sense, a new life, a new hair.
Yes, curls.
Yeah. So,
it is amazing.
So often the crisis, like I said before, is a wake-up call for a new opportunity, a new life, a new direction, a new way of doing things. We have this emotional wave. Again, it's not enduring. Waves are not enduring. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down, right? And there's this build up in expectation, and it can be a crash also in disappointment as well. So it's the roller coaster, just like you said, Linda.
Yeah.
That's a really great analogy.
Yeah.
Beautiful. How about for you, Natalie?
Well, I have a similar story, but Linda's story is beautiful. So nothing to add. I think that is really beautiful. I'd like to highlight some sharing. So we have Lisa.
Please.
Yeah, we have Lisa in our Zoom room, using your astute analogy too, Linda, about the wave. It's like the wave is coming. You may go under, but if you keep your awareness above the water on the opportunity, you can handle the crisis, right? And was there, so, and in the Facebook, we have Liana that has the other side of the 35. And she says, it is put into work where, with many people around me who have the 36 as a psychotherapist. So I'm familiar with the 36 connection. So yeah, and
Yeah,
I
and
actually,
often dealing with crisis there as well.
yeah. So I actually have the same. I have the 35. So we're a good couple there again. But yeah, it does help in working with clients in also knowing that the progress is on the other side, right? That's where you're going. But yeah,
Right.
the
Exactly.
opportunity.
Exactly. Yeah. And if we take a deeper look, if we take a look at what the quality is, the underground, it is the messenger. So whenever we have the fifth quality, it is about the messenger, and the elevation is the immunity to crisis as both generator and survivor. And it's protected survival regardless of the conditions. So you can see it's kind of in the bubble, right? Sort of immune from this crisis. On the other side, the challenge is betraying nervousness in times of crisis, a nervousness that can lead to self betrayal. So, one of the things here in taking a look at this fifth quality is that this is beautiful what you were sharing, Linda, because you actually have this fifth quality as well, in that awareness. When you have awareness, in a sense, this immunity to crisis, meaning that it's perfected survival regardless of conditions, so that you can navigate no matter what the conditions are. You can see what's ahead. You can see the roller coaster. You can see where it's going to turn. You can see the waves. And so, in many respects, it almost feels like immunity because you can see, you are aware, versus what often happens in crisis is that people panic, right? And they do things that they normally wouldn't do because of this panic, right? So it's a nervousness that can lead to self-betrayal, right? It's self-betrayal because it's not what you normally would do, but you are so panicked that you end up doing that. So it's allowing the emotions to take hold and acting from the emotions versus waiting for that clarity, waiting for things to calm down. So I would love to hear if you have anything more, Linda, to add, specifically to this quality of the underground, since you do have that in your design as well, how that shows up.
Yeah. To me, this is really profound because this is what the challenge happened before my car accident. It was really going from one crisis into another, because that's also what I share in my case study. I was really ambitious and I was not paying attention to my body or my feelings. I'm open emotional. So I was really having a hard time acknowledging my own feelings. I wasn't connected to it. And I was thinking mentally, making my choices, being ambitious. Okay, well, I now have this position. My ambition is to be there. In what way can I proceed like an express builder? The fastest way to become the person I would like to become in my mind, the successful, ambitious businesswoman. I don't know what I was thinking. I can't even imagine now, but that was who I was then. And I was self-betraying. And I was really making choices with my mind, not paying attention to anything, not feeling signals of my body, of exhaustion, of whatever. I was just, I have one goal, and that was one goal. And then I really found, because of the crisis, my accident, and my also I needed to get hospitalized as well because I was a little bit stubborn. I needed to come in contact with my emotions, and being emotionally cool, that was harsh, really harsh, but it taught me a lot. And also it taught me that I am immune for crisis, because everyone tells me also now, that they cannot understand how positive I am and was during the time. I have hit rock bottom. I have to acknowledge that. I have seen the lowest of the lowest at that time. I didn't saw the purpose of life at that moment, but there was something inside me that was still seeing the light. Even in my darkest periods, I was still positive. I had like, I don't know, I cannot sense it or tell it in words, but it really helped me to go through and to see the opportunity in the darkest moments, and just step by step and coming to clarity with my emotions, I become another person. I really became another person, and I felt a strength that from that moment, I hit rock bottom, and I now know I can deal with any crisis, no matter what. And also with other people, I feel like I become like a monk. When there's crisis, I become Zen. I am no worries. I'm here for you. I will take care of you, and we go through it. And I will let you see that you can enjoy the ride called life, because I will show you your uniqueness and your power and your strengths and how beautiful you are, and I will make you love yourself no matter what. That's what I do. So that is, but I needed to be in that position first myself, to feel that force, to feel the love of life, to feel the drive to move forward in life. And that's what I pass on now.
Exactly.
So that's how it works for
Wow.
me. Yeah.
Very powerful. Very, very powerful. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Linda.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Natalie or Anna, is there anything that you would like to add in taking a look at? I've now fixed it, so the 36 is there of crisis.
Cool. So Lisa again. So she was also thinking with what she said about the wave, and if you keep your awareness above, and if you don't and panic, that's when you go under, right? So in the light of this one, and then she also shared her husband has the 36 in driving force, and he can definitely handle crisis like no other. Yet sometimes when he doesn't want to deal with it, he'll create chaos. Not fun. So really cool. And then Terry also shared, I can relate to Linda's beautiful story. I have the 6 in the third quality in my future direction, and 36 in past direction nodes. So same as you, Linda. I too woke up after an accident, and I'm not that person anymore.
Yeah,
Interesting.
Exactly.
And oh, sorry, we have one more, and yeah.
Fine.
So, and we have Edgar. Oh, yeah, and Debbie says such a gift, Linda. So Debbie was also very thankful for your article. And Edgar says, I have trait 36 activated twice in his design, and I can totally resonate with and subscribe to what Linda is sharing. This has become one of my biggest sources of inner wisdom, the wisdom that comes from experiencing the crisis over and over.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So that opportunity, or the, taking the crisis and seeing the opportunity on the other side. It may not look pretty at first. And like you were saying, Linda, hitting rock bottom and not having, having no hope, having no, not knowing where to go. But on the other side, it's not an enduring phase. It's something that, just like the waves, it comes and it goes. And then on the other side of it, there can be magic. There can be a new life, a new perspective, a new way of doing things. Yeah. Beautifully shared, Linda. Yes, Anna.
And what Linda was saying, sometimes the crisis is not just one time.
Mm.
You repeat it because awareness comes slowly. And the 36 has a lot of fears with it. And one of the bigger fears is the vulnerability of not having experience to deal with crisis yet. There's You don't know how to handle it. So there's a repetition sometimes in life experience, because that's what this is about, is gaining experience, going through things. So this self-betrayal, the nervousness and the regrets or the shame or the guilt or whatever it is, you feel like you made the wrong choice or you're making the wrong choices. The fear can be confusing, but if you pay attention to, it's just vulnerability. You're gaining experience each time you go through it. Both of my kids have the 36. So I went through plenty of crises with them still. But, I tend to be more steady and experienced. So I just, especially now that we have the conversation about decision-making strategy, I can just kind of pace them through whatever's going on. And there's been this relief of starting to get a little immunity, starting to have this sense of, oh my gosh, I survived. Look at, 10 years ago, holy cats, there were some real dire situations. But there's this sort of gradual buildup of experience that says, okay, yeah, I got it. And like you were saying, Linda, the darkest of dark, being on your face, not just your knees, but totally flattened. Once you hit that, that's the ultimate immunity, because you start moving. Life won't let you stay there. So you still have to make progress. You have to keep moving, and that self-betrayal, that nervousness starts to ease up, especially when you begin trusting your decision-making strategy.
Yeah, really beautifully said, Anna. Thank you so very, very much. And when we take a look at our celebrity, we have Ben Cohen. He's a co-founder of Ben & Jerry's ice cream. The life work theme is the material plane. You are a witness of the mundane or the material plane that sees the vulgarities of humanity, like the good, the bad, the ugly, yet has the potential to show us that there is something more: light, spirit, awakening, and enlightenment. And it's interesting, if you take a look at the image here, they have peace, love, and ice cream. So it's one of the things that their brand was founded on as well. You can see this is a book, Lead with Your Values and Make Money Too. And so they really get behind different causes, right? So seeing the vulgarities of humanity, like the good, the bad, and the ugly, but yet still being able to show us that there's something more, to be able to see the light and the spirit and the awakening and the enlightenment as well. So again, where there is crisis on the other side, there is this light, this spirit, this awakening, this enlightenment. So again, Ben Cohen is an American entrepreneur, activist, philanthropist, and co-founder of the ice cream company Ben & Jerry's with Jerry Greenfield. I don't know if that's his exact time, but the life work theme will still be the same, whether he's either a 36.5 or a 36.6. So I just went with a 5 because I was looking for someone to represent it. So it's a good possibility that is his core essence. Beautiful. Are you guys familiar with Ben & Jerry's in the Netherlands? Yeah. See?
Oh yeah, I love the cookie dough.
Yeah,
I know, that's my favorite. That's why I put it there. Love it.
So fun. Yeah.
It's wonderful, and I really feel like, and that's also what we are talking about within the Profit Potential course, the hero's journey. We
Yeah.
all have an expectation of what life will bring, and the fates will, from the 41 to the 30, will decide if it's going to turn out or not. And then you may be in a crisis when it's not turning out the way you expect, but then there's progress. So I really feel like, well, that's my experience with everyone I work with or talk to, is that everyone can recall a moment in life, or more moments, like Anna also beautiful shared, that has turned their life around. Even it may be a divorce, it may be an accident, it may be an illness, it may be a death of a loved one, or there are significant turning points in everyone's lives. And if you are awake and aware, and if you are willing to go through the emotions and to see the learning opportunities, the light at the end of the tunnel, most of the times, these are the most enriching experiences in your life, because I feel like everything has a purpose. It comes on your path. It brings you something. And also with the people you are encountering on your path, they are teaching you lessons. And if you are willing to open up yourself to those lessons, and I had to be on my knees or on my face to be willing to take a different look at life and to see what was going on, then things will flow.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
how I feel. So to me, this is now, when discussing this, I really feel that to me, this is a really important trait in my design and in my life. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Beautifully, beautifully shared, Linda. So, just to wrap everything up, what I'd like you to do, each of those of you on our panel, and of course any of you live in our Facebook or in our Zoom room in just a moment, if there's any last things that you want to share or say, or things to pay attention to while we're still in the trait of crisis as the background frequency. Again, if you don't know your own design, but are interested in finding out more, you can go to our website at bg5businessinstitute.com. You can download a free chart so you can see what you have in your design, whether you have it or not, and how it affects you. You can also take a look at our past BG5 lives, take a look at what the frequency is or what the background is for the day in our BG5 live. You can also watch past episodes in our resource library. And of course, we have courses that are coming up in May, so we invite you to check those out. We will be having some of them, the first class, for free as well, so you can check it out. So look forward to seeing you in our classes as well. So once again, to wrap everything up, I'd love to hear from each of our panel. What are some things just to pay attention to be aware of, to what message would you like to share, since it's in the messenger? What message would you like to share about what you see with crisis?
I'll share. I would like to pass on that crisis is not always negative. It can be really intense. And of course, like we've already said, you can be flat on your face, it can be dark, it can be painful, confusing, all that stuff. But with beauty can be just as transformational.
Yeah.
A moment, a passionate moment of something, whatever it is, but passion, the positive passions as well, falling in love, or seeing a baby be born, or the exquisite beauty of nature, or of flower, or whatever it is. That's truly transformational too. You don't have to be on your face. You can be in your glory or see the glory. And that's profound. That'll change you. That'll move you. We talk about being moved by love or beauty or some experience. either way, we're moved forward. But I want to make sure people remember the times when beauty or love moved you as well.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Anna. How about for you, Natalie?
Just one more day, guys. Hang in there.
That's a good message. Thank you, Natalie. How about for you, Linda?
Oh, oh, I have to laugh about Mrs. Progress. One more day, you want to move forward. Well, there's one day of crisis left, yes, and we have to go through. No, this is part of life, and also what Anna shared. There are two sides. It can be the darkest periods of time, but it also can bring you the most enlightened moments in your life. So be aware. I feel that to me was the key. And I needed to be on my face, but you don't have to. You can also just become aware and see what's going on and face everything that is coming on your path. And allow the feelings to be there, especially when you are emotionally undefined, because it can be terrifying to feel the emotions, because we are not, as undefined emotional people, not familiar with those feelings. So, but you can really become wise about it, and it will help you. So see, breathe, open your arms and embrace life and all the opportunities, because everything has a learning opportunity in it. And things don't happen for no reason. There is I really feel like life is guiding us towards our purpose, and it's calling out our strengths and our talents.
Yeah.
And if we don't listen and we don't become aware, the lessons become more harsh or more in your face, literally. But trust the flow of life, and a crisis here and there, it is part of it.
Yeah. Really beautifully said, Linda. And Lisa says, go slow to go fast. And Charmaine says, the long dark nights of the soul, I know these well. It's also darkest before the dawn. Yeah. And again, this is part of the human experiential way. In a sense, life would be boring without crisis. So it just like Linda was saying, it's like a roller coaster ride, or it's like riding the waves. So it's enjoying the journey, enjoying the rides, both the ups and the downs, the ins and the outs, the darkness and the light, when you can really enjoy all of, what life has to bring. It is, just like Linda said, it's a natural part of life. So simply allow it to unfold. And again, through every crisis, there is also an opportunity on the other side. All right, everyone, it has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you, thank you, thank you for each and every one of you for being here. Look forward to seeing you all next week. And as Natalie said, don't worry, there's only a couple more days of crisis. Just follow your decision-making strategy and stay safe. And we will see you all next week. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Till next week.